right, everybody. I hope you've got your paper and pen like I told you to get. You're going to need it. You're going to have to write some stuff down. You won't be able to remember all this stuff. Trust me. But eventually, you will, The point is, this is going to be so easy that you'll be able to remember all these moves, and then you won't have to be referring to your paper. But initially, you're going to have to take some notes. If you really want to do it, it'll be worth your while. Now, before I even start, I've got to teach you a move that's fundamental to solving the cube. And there's no acronym for it. It's just a real easy move. And you'll be able to remember it once I teach you. And the important thing about it is it constitutes what will be about 85% of what goes into you solving the cube. So it's very important that you get this down. So what I would do is watch me do it, then maybe pause the video and practice yourself until it's kind of second nature. And what they're called is triggers, right? And so what a trigger is moving the right side. If you're doing a right trigger, you move the right side away from you, the top towards you, pull the top towards you, and then the right side towards you. If you're doing the left trigger, you push the left side away from you, pull the top towards you, and then pull the left back towards you. Or you might, say the right side clockwise, the top clockwise, the right side counterclockwise for the left trigger. And for the left trigger, you would say, left side counterclockwise, top counterclockwise, left side clockwise. But so I'm going to do the right trigger. And you want to make sure that when you do, the trigger, whether it's the right or the left, that whatever color in the middle is facing you stays, facing you. So you may want to hold it, pinch it between your fingers so that it stays facing forward as you perform the right trigger or the left trigger. Because you don't, if you were to move it and then get it turned, then that's going to end up messing you up. So just make sure that you keep the same face facing towards you. But so the right trigger once again is, and the left trigger is. Okay? So that's all you need to remember. Got it? So if I say right trigger, you'll know you're doing that. If I say left trigger, you'll know you're doing that. And like I said, that's so important because it makes up literally 85% or more of what goes into it. And now let's begin. So at this point, you might want to get out your pen and write down number 1. And the first thing you want to do is create a daisy. And what does a daisy look like? Well, it's got a yellow center surrounded by white petals, and that's what we want to do. We turn to the side with our yellow center. Here I've already got one white petal in place. And now I just need to find some more. Okay, there's one that I could easily turn. So now I have 2 white petals in place. Let's find, here's another one that I can turn over here. Now I have 3 white petals in place. And this one's being very cooperative. Now I have 4 white petals in place. Now, sometimes you may find that you have a white petal that doesn't line up, and so you may have to rotate the whole thing around to get your white petal into place. You may have to experiment, but it should be relatively simple for you to get these into place. Where'd my other white middle go? Oh, here it is. Here's a good example. So right now, well, no, I can just turn that around. So this was just kind of easy for me, but you may have a little bit more challenging, but I'm going to assume that you guys can all fit that pretty easily, Now that we have the daisy, the next step is that you want to line up your side pieces with their matching middle, right? Here we've got a blue side piece, so we want to turn around until it's matched up with its middle, and when you do, you're going to turn it clockwise 2 times. So that is now on the bottom, because we're trying to create a white cross. So we go up here, find another petal. It's already matched up to its middle, so we're going to turn it 2 times, clockwise. Here's a red petal. We line it up over its red center, and we turn it 2 times clockwise. Here's our green petal, and you're going to move it around over its green center and turn it 2 times clockwise. And now, ta-da! We have a white bottom. And now the white bottom, I'm calling it the white bottom because once you have that white cross, that's now going to be your bottom for the rest of solving this puzzle, okay? So our next step, and this is where those triggers come in, is that we've got to fill all of these corners in order to complete the white bottom, right? So what we want to do is we want to look for white pieces that are up on the top row facing us. You know, if this is the white bottom, we're looking for white pieces that are facing towards you, just like this. In this case, we've got one. It's got white on one side and green on the other. So we know that we need to move this, or I'm telling you now, you may not know before, over to its green side. Whatever color the center is the color that face is going to end up being, right? Because the center controls everything. So since this is on the left side, we need to perform the left trigger. And what that's going to do is move that piece down here. So do the left trigger, and voila, here's our white bottom. But now we have that green piece down here where we need it, and it lines up perfectly with the red that's going on over on this side. Now we go back up to the top and we look for another white piece. Aha! Here's one. It's got white and orange, so what do we need to do? That's right, we need to move this orange until we find its orange center. Now we know that it's on the side that it needs to be on, but we need to get that down here. So it's on the left side, so we do the left trigger. And once again, we've now moved it into position. It matches up with the green next door, and things are shaping up. Here's another white. Got a white on one side, orange on another, so you already know you're going to move it so that it lines up with the face, with the center. This time it's on the right side in my situation, so I'm going to do the right trigger. And now I've almost got the whole bottom completed. That's all lined up, that's all lined up, and everything's lining up with their center, so everything's looking good. Now, you'll find this, in this situation, I'm out of white sides up here, right? But here it is down here. So what do I do? That could seem confusing. Well, all you need to do is to move that out of the way is just perform, since it's on the right side, you're going to perform a right trigger, and that gets it out of the way. Sometimes you may find that when you're trying to get a white piece out of the way, that when you move it up, you have to turn it 2 times, you know, to get it out of your way. But it wasn't a very good example because I actually didn't do it. I guess what I'm trying to say, let's see. Okay, here. So now I have it back here. So sometimes you may find that when you're trying to move something out of the way, when you turn the cube, you know, it may come like this, and so you may have to move it twice, you know. Or like in this situation where this would be a good example. So if I do the right trigger, if I were to pull that down right now as part of the right trigger, it would come right back down. So sometimes you have to move the top twice when you're doing your trigger in order to get it out of the way and keep it from coming back down to the bottom. So I'm glad that that happened, so I was able to show you that. So in that situation, I did the right clockwise, and the top I had to do 2 times just to get it out of the line of that sight, you know. And now that I have that, I know I can move this blue all the way back. Where are you? There it is. Line it up with the blue side, and now I do the right trigger, and we've got the whole bottom completed. So now I've got the bottom completed. This all lines up, and this is what's important, and everything lines up with its middle piece. So the next step we've got to do, and this is still going to be using our triggers, is that we've got to fill in the side middle parts, right? So that we fill up our second row. In order to do that, we want to look at what was our petals originally, you know, these side pieces. And we want to line up. Here's one that's got blue and orange. So we know that piece needs to be over here, right? Because if this piece were to move over here, then that orange piece would be there and a blue piece would be there. So in order to do that, with the side that you're working on facing you, we know that we need to move the blue with the orange to this side. So we move it away from that side, which is counterintuitive, I know, but you just need to learn to do that. And once you've moved it away from the side you need to be on, you determine that, okay, it's on the left side, so you're going to do a left trigger. You do a left trigger. And when you do that, you displace a white cube. But that's no problem for you because you know how to get it back in place. You turn around now, do your right trigger, and now look what you've done. You moved that piece with the blue and the orange from here to here to here. Fundamental pieces, people. Fundamental pieces. Now, let's go find another one. Okay. And you can't have any with a yellow side on it because the yellow ends up being on the top. So you have to find ones with no yellow. So here we've got one with orange and green. You need to move it over its orange center. Now, obviously it's not coming over here because that piece is already in place. It needs to go over here, all right? Because this orange piece needs to be here. That green piece needs to be here. So we know we need to move it away from where it needs to go. And since it was needing to go to the left, we do a left trigger. We've displaced our white cube. We move it over here, our white sticker. It's on the right side, so we do a right trigger. And now look. The second row is slowly starting to fill up. Let's look back up to the top. Now here you'll notice, I just said you can't have any with a yellow sticker on it, on one of the petals. But now if we look up, they all have yellow. So what do? Well, in this case, we just look at the side that we need to fill. On this situation, I need something on the right side, so I do a right trigger. When I do that, it displaces this one. But I know that I move it back to the right face. It's on the left side, so I do a left trigger. And that should have rearranged one. So see, now I've got another piece up here. This one's red, this one's green. It's already over the green side. I need to move it to the left side, so I move it away from where it needs to be. But since I need to move it to the left, I do a left trigger. I've displaced that white cube. I move it around. I do the right trigger. And now I've got one piece left to go. I look back up the top. I've got a blue and a red, so I know that's a piece that I need to move. I need to move it right here. Since I need to move it to the right, I move it away. And then since it's the right side that I need to move it to, I do the right trigger. And then I've displaced the white again. So just like before, I move it back over to its matching center, perform a left trigger because it's on the left side, and voila. I've got two rows and the bottom all completed. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our first mnemonic device. We've been using the right trigger and the left trigger all the way to this point. So that was a lot, right? But now, this is where it gets a little harder, but I've made it easier, hopefully, by creating these mnemonic devices, these acronyms that you'll be able to use to easily solve the puzzle. Okay? So, the first one, and let me tell you what we're trying to do is we're trying to solve the top, right? White is our bottom, yellow is our top, okay? We're trying to solve the top. And the way we do that is there are a couple different things we're looking for. We're either looking for a backwards L shape before we do this first mnemonic device, or we're looking for 3 colors of yellow straight up and down, or we're looking for a yellow star, okay? But here's where you need your pen and your paper, okay? Here is your first mnemonic device. And I know it may look confusing at first, but I'm going to explain it to you. Fur-earth. Hopefully you can remember fur-earth. Now F obviously stands for the front. So if this is your bottom, choose a side that will be your front. Let's say, what do you like? Blue? Red? Let's use red. Okay. So red will be our front here in this situation. And whatever side you choose to be your front, make sure that that stays facing towards you, okay? E, in our fur-earth mnemonic device, is the top. Now I know what you're saying. That doesn't make any sense. How can E stand for the top? Well, E rhymes with T, and if I didn't choose a vowel, there'd be no way to make words that would be easy to remember. So you just have to remember that E is the top. E rhymes with T, E is the top. And then R obviously stands for the right side. And each of those means turning that clockwise. So for the front, turn it clockwise. E, being the top, we turn it clockwise. And R, being the right side, we turn it clockwise. Now for earth, are those same letters, but I've got them all written backwards. Why? Because it's the same ones, but you turn them counterclockwise. So E being the top, we turn it counterclockwise. R being right, we turn it counterclockwise. F being the front, we turn it counterclockwise. And that is what you need to remember for fur earth. And like I said, you're either looking for the one solid row of yellow, or the ability to make a backwards L. Eventually we're trying to either make a star so that we can make an upside down fish. But write that down because you're going to need it. Okay. So now that we know fur earth, I look around, I say, okay, let's see. Okay, I can see that I've got my upside down L, right? So I'll move that. Like I said, I'm choosing red to be the side that's facing me. So I have upside down L. And I do fur earth. Front clockwise, top clockwise, right side clockwise. Now earth, top counterclockwise, right side counterclockwise, front counterclockwise. Now it's made this interesting design here. But like I said, we want to have this lined up, right? So I'm going to do, with keeping my red side towards me, fur earth. Oops. Okay. Well, there's my line with me again. Lined up facing towards me. Do fur earth. And one thing I should mention, you might have to do fur earth 15 times before you get the desired effect. You might have to do it 20, but you just got to have patience. Now, whoops. Here's my red side again. I'm keeping facing towards me. Upside down L. Fur earth. Aha! Now, it just so happens that while doing this, I got to the desired goal of having what I call the upside, the fish swimming down, right? That looks like a fish swimming down. You might have gotten to a cross without the fish swimming down. But either way, whether you got to the cross or whether you got to the fish swimming down, you would have to perform the next mnemonic device, okay? So if you got to the cross, you're going to perform the next one I tell you. And if you got to, which would give you this, in which case you'd still have to perform this next mnemonic device, okay? Are you ready? Get out your pen and paper. Your next mnemonic device is reserves. Now, R obviously means the right side. E, we've already said, is the top. S is the right side counterclockwise. Now, maybe you're saying, what does that mean? Well, what's the first letter in the alphabet after R? It's S, RS. So that's easy to remember. S is R backwards, right? Or counterclockwise. E, we know is the top. R, we know is the right. V, E are both the top. Once again, you might say, What's up with V being the top? Well, it's to make it easy so you can make a word reserves. V rhymes with E, rhymes with T, all for top. Clockwise, clockwise, and then S is the right side counterclockwise. But it's a word you can remember, reserves, okay? So we've got our fish, or you may have a cross. It depends. But like I said, if you have the cross and you do reserves, it will give you this, and then you do it one more time. So right side, top, right side counterclockwise, top, right side, top, top, right side counterclockwise. I ended up actually with a fish upside down again. What should happen, and I'll do it again, is it's going to end up completing the yellow side. So I've got my upside down fish, do reserves again, R-E-S-E-R-V-E-S. And there you go. But see how easy that was? You know, once you agree that those moves are going to be associated with that word reserves, then you just say R-E-S-E-R-V-E-S, and you get it, okay? Oh my gosh, did I actually almost solve it? Practically. Okay, now, at this point, we ended up with a solid back of one color, but the other colors are kind of goofy looking. What you're actually looking for here is two of the side colors being the same. In this situation, we ended up with 3. But let's just pretend for the sake of argument that this ended up being a different color and you had 2 pieces, because that's what you're probably going to end up with, you know, or you may end up with something that looks like this. But ultimately, what you would want at that point is if these 2 pieces were matching and they matched the colors, you'd move it over to the side so that it's on your left. And then you would perform your next mnemonic device, which is, get out your pen and paper, Myrtle's reserves. Okay, now we established last time that S was the right side backwards because S is the letter in the alphabet after R. In this case, M is the letter in the alphabet after L, which has been our left side. So M means the left side counterclockwise. Okay? E, we've already agreed, is the top, rhymes with T. R is the right. T, actually, ironically this time, does finally mean the top. But you have to remember, is the top counterclockwise. That's why I've drawn it big there to help you remember. Now, maybe you're saying, well, why isn't it U? If we're going with the logic that the letter after the letter is counterclockwise. Well, because Myrtle's reserves just doesn't have a ring to it that you're going to remember. So you're just going to have to remember it's a Myrtle's reserves and the T is the top backwards. L we know is the left clockwise. E is the top. S you already know. And the reserves you already know. So once we have that, and have that, you know, like I said, for you it'll probably be 2 matching colors right here. You move to the left and you do Myrtle's reserves. So M, E, R, T, L, E, S. Then we do reserves, R, E, S, E, R, V, E, S. Well, sadly, in this situation, it ended up solving the whole puzzle before I got to the finish line. So let me pause this video for just a second and get it back how it's probably going to be for you so that you can use the last mnemonic device.